Ancient Roman temples were among the most essential structures in Roman culture and some of the finest buildings in Roman architecture. Still, only a few survived in any complete state. Today they remain the most prominent symbol of Roman architecture. Roman temples were a place to worship the many deities of the Roman polytheistic religion. Polytheistic, meaning they worshipped many gods, each needing its own sacred spaces where it could be worshipped. All such temples built by the Romans have been lost with the rubble of the earth. But it is very rare to discover old Roman temples with painted interiors that have survived to the present day. One such Roman temple is the Ancient Temple of Cupra. Let's find out more about this ancient temple. The Cupra Temple was one of the ancient wonders of the Roman Empire. Built at the start of the 1st century CE, the temple was dedicated to the Etruscan-turned-Roman goddess Cupra. Archaeologists were able to recover fragments of the frescoed walls and ceiling of the temple that was built 2,000 years ago. The frescoes were painted in shades of blue, yellow, red, black, and green. They were adorned with flowering garlands, representations of candelabra and small palms. It is for the very first time that the ruins of a shrine that was painted with such a diverse range of hues, still in an extraordinarily well-preserved state and with such lavish intricate ornamentation, have been discovered. Scientists hope this discovery will give fresh light on the engineering methods that the Romans employed. Researchers might also gain a deeper understanding of the city's local economy if they pay attention to the decorative motifs that repeatedly appear on the walls. A lot can be learned about the numerous artisan shops operating during the period from the chronology of the various styles and ornamental components in use. And the patterns and motifs may reveal whether it was the work of a single atelier or multiple ateliers working together. Unusual painting style. The Cupra Temple was constructed at the beginning of the 1st century AD. It served as the spiritual center of a militarily and commercially significant city, and it assisted the Romans in maintaining their grip over the Adriatic coast and its maritime trade routes. The excavations started in July and are being directed by the University of Naples L'Orientale and the Council of Cupra Marittima, which is responsible for managing the archaeological park in which the ruins of the old city are located. According to the researchers, the newly discovered wall paintings appear to have been created in the so-called Third Pompeian style, which is typically used to decorate wealthy households in Pompeii and Rome. Rather than religious structures, this style was more commonly used to decorate wealthy households. It is believed that the ceiling of the old sanctuary was painted the color of the sky. In contrast, the walls of the lower portion of the temple were colored yellow. Also, red, black and yellow squares were separated by images of candelabra and garlands, with green bands of color running horizontally along the walls. It is an extremely unusual occurrence to find antique wall murals that are still in their entirety. Paint is difficult to keep over time because of dampness. It is also exceedingly difficult to dig up effectively during excavation because it adheres to the surface. The extremely rich color palette used, particularly the bright sky blue and pinkish red, stand out as quite exceptional when compared to the traditional red paint. The ceiling is painted a very unusual shade of sky blue, which leads us to conclude that it was intended to represent the heavenly vault, and that the shrine was constructed in order to pay homage to a goddess. Archaeologists have not yet been able to ascertain which religious tradition was connected to the shrine, despite the fact that the Etruscan goddess Cupra, who was later adopted into the Roman religion, shares the same name as the temple. It is possible that worshippers had access to a big statue of a goddess that was maintained in the main cell. Over time, most of the temple was demolished, yet the podium and a staircase leading to the entrance survived. The remainder of the temple consists of a heap of debris that is located 1 meter below the ground. This is the location where archaeologists started digging earlier this summer. Because the temple underwent several significant transformations after its initial construction, it is now more difficult for archaeologists and scientists to imagine what it had first looked like. Hadrian, the Roman emperor, oversaw the funding of a comprehensive renovation of the shrine in the year 127 AD, because he was concerned that it might be destroyed owing to structural problems brought on by the effects of aging or natural calamities. It is believed that Hadrian had the painted walls chipped, removed, and then covered in marble so that the building might be strengthened. During this process, the original colorful parts were pulverized. Afterward, they were used as the base for the new floors. Because their lifespan was so short, only about 100 years, the retrieved fragments are in such good condition because they have been so well maintained. Hadrian then erected columns that were 9 meters high with ornate capitals, semi-columns and lion-headed roof dripstones. Some elements of these additions have recently been discovered. Additionally, he constructed 2 brick arches that can be found to this day on either side of the temple site. The pagan masterpiece that Hadrian created was dismantled in the following centuries, beginning in the 7th century. At the end of the 19th century, the temple walls were dismantled to make place for a long-abandoned rural home that still towers above the ruins of the shrine. The marble and columns were destroyed to be used as building materials. The shrine's walls were used in the construction of the house, hence, we are still debating whether it would be more beneficial to restore the home or tear it down to retrieve the whole of the shrine. The archaeologist claimed that his team had only a taste of what comes in the excavation process, as only 1/5 of the temple site has been explored thus far. Who knows what other designs, patterns, and components might be brought to light. It would be wonderful if the things we uncover would contribute to a better understanding of how construction sites operated in Roman times. Ancient concrete. The chemistry of Roman concrete, which has withstood the test of time and the elements for thousands of years, has been deciphered by researchers. When the Romans constructed their ancient sea walls, they bound the rocks together using concrete from lime and volcanic ash. Scientists have discovered that specific components of the volcanic material strengthened the structure by reacting with the salt water. They hope this discovery could lead to the development of building materials that are better for the environment. In contrast to the concrete mixture used today, which degrades over time, the Roman compound has perplexed scholars for a long time. The material appears to become more durable the longer it is exposed to the elements, especially when it is in salt water. In earlier studies using samples from ancient Roman sea walls and harbors, the researchers discovered that the concrete contained a rare mineral known as aluminum tobermarite. These samples were taken from the old Roman sea walls and harbors. They are of the impression that due to the Roman mixture's heat production, this fortifying component crystallized in the lime when it was exposed to seawater. The samples taken from the harbor have now been subjected to a more in-depth analysis by the researchers, who used an electron microscope to map the distribution of the elements. In addition, they utilized X-ray microdiffraction and Raman spectroscopy to acquire a more in-depth comprehension of the chemistry that was taking place. According to this recent study, the researchers discovered considerable amounts of tobermarite growing through the fabric of the concrete, along with a related mineral called philipsite that is porous. According to the findings of the researchers, prolonged contact with seawater allowed these crystals to continue growing over time, which strengthened the concrete and stopped cracks from forming in it. It is an extremely uncommon occurrence on planet Earth. The technique that is taken today is very different from the traditional blend. Concrete made with Portland cement is the material of choice for the construction of modern buildings. This is accomplished by heating and crushing a mixture of several components, which can include limestone, sandstone, ash, chalk, iron, and clay. In order to construct buildings out of concrete, the fine material is first combined with aggregates, which can include sand or rocks. That's all for today. What do you think of the video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.